like to invite our first speaker, no pressure, Maureen, to come up. Maureen Kilpatrick from Archaeology is going to talk about a fantastic site that's emerged over the last couple of years near Gilmanton, the West Edge. And I'll over to you, Maureen. Thank you very much.
Put this down as well. Thank you very much. It's nice to be first up. And what I'm going to talk about is work that GAR did pre-development in 2018 and 2019 at West Edge of Lang Lone. And let's see if I can get this to work. Good. So basically, it's kind of South Edinburgh, round about Gilmerton, near Gilmerton Station actually. And it's that red rectangular piece of ground. Just to quickly point out, if I can get this thing working. Good. This bit here is where the archaeology was, and this sits about 140 metres in height, and all the rest around it slopes downwards to about 120. But where the archaeology was in a long linear ridge going up and down here. So this was the field before we actually started, and you see it's got this sort of slope, very undulating, and it was used as agriculture. So we first went in 2018 to do an evaluation where we put trenches all across the field to see if we could pick up any archaeology. Oops, not too far. And this wee bit in here was actually the Gilmerton shaft, so we left that alone. This area is absolutely totally full of industrial works and also quarrying, 18th, 19th, 20th century and possibly earlier as well. So we started off doing a metal detecting survey where we found over 1,000 metal objects, but most were discarded. There were bits of old can and bits of agricultural machinery. We did get a few musket balls, some coins, kind of Victorian, and also some other kind of metal, lead stamps used in textiles. And that's us just doing the trenching there, and they'll photo at the bottom of the machine. So that's just one of the coins and one of the lead stamps that was found. So just to show you how awful it was, really, and this is just one of the trenches we dug, and you can see quite a lot of disturbance through the industry. So the next few photos I'm just going to show you that although we did find prehistoric remains, there was an awful lot of disturbance in the area with mine working buildings. This is a pump house, and that's an aerial photograph of it. And that's just one of the shafts. So these were also found on site, and they were mainly up and down here was all mine working pits. It was all coal, and we had the pump house and some more of the industrial archaeology here. But down this massive ridge here, and you've got a massive outcrop of bedrock, was where the archaeology was found. We had a little cremation cemetery up the top, and that was actually dug into the bedrock. And we had a couple of palisade enclosures, pits here, 2 pit alignments, and a timber circle here. And that's just a little close-up of them. We also had this linear ditch that kind of terminated just south of the cremations and then went out the site. So, as in most archaeology sites, and particularly prehistory, we find an awful lot of pits, and they are the most common features to find in archaeology sites. They were mainly early Neolithic in date, and we know this because we found quite a lot of early Neolithic carinated ware inside them, and that's just some of the pottery. Whoops, going too fast, wrong bit. That is just some of the pottery there as we were excavating. And you can just see a wee bit more, and that's just one of the vessels. They tend to have curved rounded bases. They're normally used as cooking pots. And some of them had these elongated bits here, these lugs, which I think might have been used sort of proto-handles. Now, what we actually found in the pit was mainly domestic waste. So we found charcoal, it was alder, hazel, oak, willow, some hazelnut shells. They'd obviously been incorporated into the pit at one point. And we also found a couple of stone tools, and that's a pounder. And you can see here, there's some little peck marks on it. So we're going into the early Bronze Age here, and we found this large timber circle. It was 28 metres in diameter, and it was made of 11 large pits going all the way around here. These ones in pink were actually early Neolithic in date. So there's actually nothing in the centre of this. And there's also one outlying. We didn't get any finds at all. And again, the charcoal we got in them was domestic waste, which we think has just been incorporated into them accidentally. There wasn't any evidence of any posts being burnt in situ. The actual pits were about, pits were about 6-7 metres apart, so it is really quite a large structure. We think there was an entranceway just down here to the southeast. And this is just one of the pits before excavation. You can see really horrible claggy clay ground that folk were digging in. It was quite horrible when it got wet. And this is just two of the pits. They've been half sectioned. You can see all the packing stones. So the pit had been dug, post in, and all these packing stones around to hold it upright. And this is just some of the section drawings of it. And this is the circle itself coming round here. And this is the shot that everybody loves and all the archaeologists jump in. But I'm going to point out this poor person at the bottom here who's just standing. I don't know why he didn't sacrifice himself and go in, you know? So there we are at one end of this ridge. Here, we've got this timber circle, and at the top, dug into the bedrock, we've actually got a cremation cemetery. And I want to hand these, the pit circle here. The posts did go through the clay subsoil, and then they actually get dug in to the bedrock themselves by about 50 centimetres. So it's a wee bit of an undertaking. So, I keep forgetting to put this wee light on. So there was about 8 cremations dug into the bedrock, and then a sort of semicircle. That's a wee bit more close up. That down here is just the terminal end of this ditch. And that's the folk here, the archaeologists digging on the bedrock outcrop, and they're digging the cremation burials. And you can see it is basically the highest point in that area, and the ground does slope off downwards in all directions, apart this sort of long linear ridge that these all sit on. So it would have been prominent, that, and also the timber circle. And this is just 2 of the cremations. And they were very, about 5-6 centimetres deep. They were very truncated. I think they've been spread by ploughing. And obviously with the industrial works as well, it's quite surprising they actually survived. And you can see they're actually spread out around this bedrock here. Now the bone we got in it was very fragmented, it was very worn, it had obviously been affected by weathering. And in most of them, they only had evidence of one person, and again, it was very, very fragmented indeed. And that's just a close-up of one of them. And this one here, you can actually see the remains of a vessel coming around here. And this was actually the collar of an urn. And we actually got evidence of 3 urns on site, but the other 2 were just fragments, and they were all the collar of them. So what we actually think is that they were actually put in inverted. So the body and the base would have been sticking up. And what's happened later on, obviously with later activity on site, whether it's agriculture or industry, they've just been completely truncated and taken away. So we're basically just really left, not with the bases, but just the tops of the vessels. And this is just a close-up of Hannah here actually digging this collar of the urn, and you can see how it's been dug into the actual bedrock here. And that's basically what's actually protected this and kept it from, to survive. And that's just a big close-up of it. And that's another one. It's actually got decoration on it, if you can just see lines across here. So that's the rim of the vessel there. Now, the charcoal we actually got in all of them was actually alder, so we're presuming that was the main fuel source when they were actually burning. And one of them actually was very, very vitrified, so we think that was actually put in the actual pyre as well. Now, they were all collars, so we're presuming they were all inverted. And we also got this little fragment of metal. It's bronze, little bronze sheet, and that was found with one of the cremations. And that was obviously put in we don't actually know what it was, but it was actually put in as a grave good. It wasn't actually in the pyre itself. And that's just a shot of some of the pottery from the vessels. And I just put this up to show you the post-excavation. You can see there's obviously been kind of cut into the bedrock here to put these vessels and cremations in. And that's just a close-up. In the lab, what we do is we when we're emptying out vessels, we actually do it in quarters and spits, and it's just so we can work out if there's any sorting of the bones. You know, so if maybe some bone were put in this side and some were put in that side. And I just put this in just to show you how shallow it actually is, that there's really not much remaining of it. So we also found 2 palisade enclosures on site. This one, I'm never going to get the hang of this, was actually truncated by the edge of the development, and there's also a road running down here. So we've not got it, the complete, we're presuming the entrance is this side. This is a wall of a 19th century building that was put in, obviously part as the industrial works, and it's about 51 metres in diameter. There wasn't really any features found in the middle of it. There was no roundhouse or anything like that. And this is just to show you, coming round here, and it was full of stones. The charcoal we got out of it was alder, and we did actually manage to get 2 radiocarbon dates, and they dated to the late Bronze Age, early Iron Age. And I just put this in just to show you the size of the cobbles that were coming out. So this is a wee aerial shot of it, and you can see it coming up round here. And we've got this linear ditch coming down here. The cremations would have been up here, and we've got this other palisade enclosure up there. So this is the other one. This was partially cut. This is this bedrock outcrop, and the cremations would have been up here, and the timber circle down here. And you can see it's been partially dug into the actual bedrock. This was about 31 metres diameter, and we didn't get any charcoal. We did get some alder. We didn't get any datable evidence for it at all. But we actually also have this 2 linear pit alignments from it. And this again is just a wee shot of it coming round here. And that's the bedrock outcrop there. So again, there wasn't really any finds in the middle, apart from that sort of little curve in a groove, which I guess could maybe be some sort of little structure or little building. But again, the problem with the site, because there was a lot of disturbance later on, we were finding coal and cinder and pottery within quite a lot of these features as well. So they'd been really quite disturbed. So this is an aerial shot. That's one palisade here, one here, and then you've got this ditch running up and down. And that's the wee ditch there. So I don't know how long it was, because it obviously went out the site. But it was about 1.5 metres in width. It was very V-shaped, quite a lot of fills, absolutely no finds whatsoever. And again, we did get a couple of dates from that as well, and it was late Iron Age, early medieval in date. And again, towards the actual bedrock, it became a lot more shallower. It could have been maybe some sort of boundary division later on. That's the terminal end of it. So I've put this up. This is actually the pit alignments, and the reason I put them in different colours was because the dates were all over the place, and that's probably as part of that later disturbance. These were Neolithic in date, early Neolithic. This was Bronze Age. This was medieval and early medieval, and this was Iron Age, and again, same with this one. So it was kind of, we've actually got another 2 dates we're waiting on to see if it'll actually clarify it a bit more, but they were very over the place, and they were actually over the top of this palisade, so this alignment is later. We actually also found in one of the ditches here, I'll tell you in a minute, that's just a photo, and that's just the folk sitting in them. It's amazing how folk get so excited about doing that when you're on site. And we actually found in one of them this little brooch. It's actually Romano-British, it's 1st, 2nd century AD. And that was one of the pits. We didn't actually get a date from that pit, there was nothing to date. And that's it when it's been cleaned up. So, basically, in conclusion, despite the horrendous disturbance of the site and that whole area, there are still surviving archaeology. And in some respects, the most prominent and probably the most shallow is where we're getting the actual archaeology. And it certainly gives you a glimpse of the prehistory and later landscape in the surrounding area. There has been other work done in the surrounding area which has found other prehistoric evidence. So it just kind of pieces together what's happening in this area in the past. So that's it. And I've got a few acknowledgements also to Ailsa, who leaded the excavations, and also the archaeology team. And that's it. Thank you very much.